Hey everyone, we're here today to talk about a challenge that's top of mind for a lot of our customers. As the industry shifts from basic chatbots to autonomous agents, how do you handle identity at machine speed? The concrete question we keep hearing is when an autonomous agent tries to trigger a critical API call on behalf of a user, how do you verify it in real time? How do you make sure that it's the right agent acting on behalf of the right user without giving it like a whole blank check to your entire backend? I'm Sid Shiviraj. I'm a PM at Google Cloud, and today I'm joined by Kate Atkinson. She's the VP of Product over at Ping Identity. Kate, it's great to have you in the studio.
Great, thanks, Sid.
So, for background context, let's quickly introduce Google's agent platform and agent gateway. To keep it simple, the agent platform is where you build and run these agents, but the agent gateway is your crucial control plane where you can actually observe and govern everything that an agent is doing. We've been collaborating to insert Ping's identity platform into the gateway flow to ensure every transaction is context aware and authorized. Kate, to kick things off, as enterprises onboard hundreds of agents and let them connect to various APIs and tools, what are you hearing from your customers with respect to the agent sprawl problem?
Yeah, great question. Organizations currently have these top-down mandates to explore and gain benefits from agents. So developers are creating and deploying agents on Gemini Enterprise Agent Platform and other agent building platforms. And so the organizations don't really yet have a registry of all of these agents. So they need to find a way to take agents from this sort of unknown state to a known state so that it can be managed and governed. So essentially what's happening is that customers are pretty much flying blind, right? So they need total visibility to identify, manage, and restrict that agent behavior so that they can ensure that every single action that an agent is taking is logged and accountable. So in general, organizations really lack oversight over which agents are interacting with their systems, the nature of those interactions. So you need to get complete control so they can have comprehensive visibility into agent behavior and manage those. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, every action taken by an agent needs to be fully auditable and fully accounted for.
So in this, right, why do you think like basic authentication or having a valid credential is not enough to govern these AI agents effectively? Like, why is basic authentication or having a valid credential not enough to govern these AI agents effectively?
Yeah, great question. So authentication gets you in the door, but that's no longer enough when it comes to agents. So when it comes to agents, we need to be really, really precise about what they can and cannot do at runtime. There are two big differences now. So firstly, we can no longer trust the application. So previously, we could rely on application code to filter out overprivileged data. Now, if the agent can access data, we really must consider it a threat and for that data to be accessible. And secondarily, our existing authorization controls were built around humans and human identity, so humans having access to resources. Now we've got three entities in play. We've got humans, agents, and the resources themselves. So we need to find a way to make decisions about all of these things all together without incurring massive costs to kind of rewrite back-end systems. So those AI tools should only be able to access the specific data they need to access at runtime for the shortest period necessary.
I'm sure we both are seeing this as well. Like the industry is shifting from these AI chatbots to autonomous agents that can invoke tools. They complete transactions for you. They can coordinate and delegate tasks to other agents. In my mind, like, do you think that security teams are just going to allow these agents into the prod environment without a really good identity and governance story? Like, they can't do that, right? Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, you have to establish this sort of bedrock of trust. So we're really seeing organizations struggle to establish that trust layer. So establishing a delegated access model for agents where an agent has its own identity, its own entitlements, its own access controls. And without that, organizations are really blocked from taking advantage of the possibilities with AI agents. So for example, let's say that you want to move your doctor's appointment. In a multi-agent ecosystem, you'd ask an AI assistant to move your appointment. The identity agent would verify you, and a scheduling agent would update the booking system and return the new time. So all of this needs to happen without any of the agents getting broader access than it actually needs. And it also only needs to act on behalf of the user that asked it to do the thing. Right? So it's a complex scenario in the background.
Now that we've covered the problem and the risk, I think it's time to now get into the core of the conversation, the integration and our recent collaboration. On our side, we built Agent Gateway to be that central control plane for governing all agentic communications, regardless of where the agent or the tool it's accessing might live. Right? So how does plugging Ping's runtime identity and authorization into the gateway flow simplify the identity-first security and user experience for our mutual customers?
Well, Ping's enterprise-grade identity services gives customers a centralized way to apply context-aware authorization, govern MCP's tool access, and strengthen your runtime protections. So what this means is that you don't need to bake this into your applications or tools or rewrite everything. So Ping Authorize is that central control plane where you can set up your policy. So Ping Authorize can decide whether an agent is allowed to do things like view order history, access saved addresses, or spend above a certain amount based on real-time context, like the customer's consent, the agent's identity, or even device and risk signals, and whether human approval is required. So coupling that with Google's Agent Gateway gives us that layer of enforcement we need to apply those sorts of policies to agents.
I think it's now time to really walk the audience through like a concrete example of this integration in action. I believe you have a demo that your team has built.
Yes, my team has crafted a really simple real-world example using Stripe and e-commerce demo. And so the demo goes into how the integration with an agent gateway handles the scenario where different users have different purchasing powers. So, for example, restricting one user to purchasing something under $100 and then allowing another user to purchase something that's above $10,000. Just to summarize, what's happening here is that Ping Authorize is evaluating requests at runtime and then passing that policy on to the Google Agent Gateway to enforce those decisions. All of those decisions are based on rich context, like customer consent, agent identity, the transaction value, the device risk, and other signals, as well as whether or not human approval is required.
So let's look ahead to another problem that I keep hearing from customers. That's about agent chain, where I think we've mostly talked about agents accessing tools and other APIs, but obviously agents can hand off tasks to other agents as well. So you can have multiple agents in this kind of workflow. In that world, how do you keep the original human intent from getting lost in translation, right? Like, how is Ping ensuring that there is a accountability chain, that it is intact, and everything is still moving at machine speed?
Yeah, great question. Security and accountability aren't really features you can bolt on to your systems later. So what Ping is able to do is Ping's able to propagate a complete chain of actors and the human principle to provide explainability and accountability of all of those actions in that entire chain. So you're tying the human to the agent to additional agents that might continue on down the line. This also allows enterprises to enable fine-grained authorization checks based on the chain of actors and the human in the middle. So there's three big things that security teams really need to capture. Number one, the human identity. That's got to be absolutely consistent throughout that journey and associated with the agent or agents that might be in that chain. Secondarily, the chain of actors, the chain of delegations, and the agent IDs involved, all for audit purposes. Right? And then finally, the intent. Right? So we need to confirm that the action taken by the agent is consistent with what the user asked the agent to do.
For me, at least, the big takeaway from this conversation is identity is a critical enabler for AI innovation. And by integrating Ping's runtime identity and authorization directly into the flow of the agent gateway really is enabling enterprises to build and scale these autonomous agents, right? So, and that is coming with granular context, it's coming with full authorization. So it all happens at the gateway layer, so our mutual customers don't have to now re-architect their applications or anything. That's a really good user experience in my mind.
Exactly. It's about moving from blind trust to verified intent. It makes the transition to AI agents much less of a leap of faith and more of a managed, secure evolution.
Yeah, well said. That was really insightful. Thanks, Kit. If you're ready to see how this integration works in your own environment, we have linked all the technical resources and documentation to the description below. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you in the next one.